Hi, everybody. I am Jen Johnson, and this is Thought by Thought Healing, where I talk about everything related to chronic pain and chronic symptoms. I come at this from a Christian perspective, and so if that's important to you, then you are in the right place. And if you're listening to this on podcast platforms, I would love if you would leave me a review. That's how we get this information out there for other people who are on their healing journey. If you're new to the channel, I talk about this because I have a story of healing from chronic pain, and now I very much so care about spreading the news. Neuroscience really is showing that it is the brain that sustains chronic symptoms, and that is through neural pathways. So if you have chronic pain or chronic IBS or insomnia or TMJ or everything under the sun, the brain can control. And so when we target the brain, we can change those neural pathways through neuroplasticity, and we can heal ourselves, which is what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about this idea of the power was within, or I can heal myself. And as a Christian, do I get to say that? And ultimately, I think the answer is yes, because He created us with the ability to change the shape of our brain and to adapt and change and regulate our nervous system. That is true for all people. He created us in that way. And so we're all sorts of people are healing from many different types of symptoms when people are spending time really thinking about and changing how we think. I used to not believe that people could change. And now I know that it is not true. You can change your brain, you can change, and you can heal. But as a Christian, I did find that there is an incredible amount of empowerment that is offered to us through Scripture and through relationship with God. And that is where I have found most of my healing. So yes, we know that all sorts of people are healing, but I find that there's just this huge power that is this gift that is given to me. I mean, contentment is a gigantic gift for our nervous system. Gratefulness is huge. Rest is a very big part of healing and slowing down. I'm not planning on talking about that, but that is important. There are many other things. Just trusting in God is, again, gigantic gift to rewiring the brain. So if the power was within and God has given it to me, then yes, I can heal myself. And so I want to talk about just a little bit more about what that means functionally. Application. How does this work out? What does it mean and what does it not mean? So first of all, when you start to discover that your symptoms are caused by the brain, and you will, as you do this work, you'll start to notice, oh, my symptoms go up when I'm feeling angry, or when I'm trying to control and suppress my anger, or when I feel nervous and scared, or when I feel disappointed. Whatever emotion that you are not comfortable feeling, it will probably come about then. That's a subject for another time. So when you start to discover that your symptoms are controlled by the brain, emotions, beliefs, thoughts, those types of things, then you start to realize that nobody else is going to heal you but you. And therefore, all the visits to the doctor's appointments and the specialists and the physical therapists, which is let's put a pin in that one, and the supplements and the diets, the elimination diets that you're on, all sorts of things that are external and you think are fixing you internally, they're not. And that's the hard truth, and that's people who heal, eventually, as they begin to trust and understand that it's their brain, are able to let go of this idea that somebody else is going to save me, somebody else is going to fix me. It's not the pill that's going to save you, it's not the surgery, because it's the brain, and you need to change how your brain is wired. And the way your brain is wired plays out into every essentially cell in your body. And so every every system in your body is controlled by the brain or affected by the brain, and therefore all those symptoms can be caused by distress, suppressed emotions, your inner language, personality traits. All those things can play out in kind of disrupting the homeostasis of those systems in your body and how they play together or they do not play together, and how they can be in sympathetic mode instead of in parasympathetic mode. So stop looking outside of you for healing. And also, there are some other things that we stop doing as we realize that the power was within. If the power is within and you disempower you with your own language, then you're stuck. So the first time you say, I can't, you've lost the battle. It can be hard, absolutely. And we want to always be honest about our feelings because that's a big part of this journey. But to say, I'm not going to be able to do this work. I'm not strong enough to do this work. I can't handle the pain. I'm never going to overcome this. They're just pulling the rug essentially out from underneath your own healing journey. And for some people, that is a huge part of the journey, is the fear of the pain, and your language kind of adding to that fear. And now you've got this cyclical pattern. It makes me think of when you're like 13. You know that game you play with your friends where they'd say one thing and you just repeat it, and they'd say something and then you'd say something. And do you get what I'm doing here? So you're a teenager and you just think it's so funny to just repeat everything. So the conversation goes nowhere. And so it's kind of like that with our subconscious emotion and then our will, our intentional chosen statement, whether it repeats what your natural fear is, whether you just go along with it, you let your nervous system lead the way and you just keep repeating it, or if you're going to be the one to interrupt the cycle. Are you going to be the one to say something different? Your nervous system says, I can't handle the pain and I'm scared. Are you going to say back, I can't handle the pain and I'm scared? Or are you going to say, no, I don't have to be scared. In this moment, I'm going to be a tiny bit less scared. I'm going to be just a tiny bit more resilient. And so you are the only one that can change that thought pattern. Other people can help you see your thought patterns and help you to understand how to change and which thought patterns and which, I'm going to say habits that you have that you're even unaware of. People can help you to name those and to redirect you, but ultimately the choice is up to you. It's like going and seeing a trainer. You can go to a trainer and they can tell you all the workouts to do and which muscles to target, but ultimately it's about you doing the squats. So it's not the doctor that's going to heal you. It's not the specialist. And it is, and also by discovering the powers within, you have to start watching your language to see if you are just always in agreement with your nervous system or if you are going to find that power. Again, I think that it's awesome to take that power from God who gives it to us. Actually, that reminds me of He has given us a spirit of power and love and of sound mind. And I don't know if you've heard people say this before, but if you have power without love, it's mostly abusive. And if you have love without power, it can actually be fear. So thinking about people pleasing, I'm going to call people pleasing love. If you feel like it is your responsibility to always keep everybody around you happy, and you are calling that love, but in reality it is fear, then it's not going to play out well for your nervous system. It's going to actually accelerate those symptoms and make your pain worse and more consistent. So we want to always have, there's a reason He gave us all three of those things: power, love, and sound mind. Because when they are together, they create homeostasis. So then we get to choose to say, in this moment, I'm going to be sacrificial because I've been empowered. I could walk away, but I'm going to choose instead to stay here and be loving and be present with this person. I'm just using an example. Point is, I know I went off topic there a little bit, but He has given us a spirit of power, love, and of sound mind. And so those things do give us the power within and the ability to heal ourselves. And I love looking at Scripture and seeing that sometimes the commandments He gives us, they feel like a to-do list, that in reality, they are such a huge gift to our nervous systems. Gratefulness absolutely is from, when we are truly grateful, it is from a place of peace in our bodies. Contentment is the same when we can put on that lens of being thankful again for what's around us, or trusting in God. Huge gift to us, and that comes from within. It's a choice that we make. This whole process of healing is about choice, and not doing what might come naturally to you. It's a challenging pattern and a way of thinking and a way of operating that leads to healing. Okay, so far I've just talked about what is not involved, which is I can't do this, I can't do that, and looking to other people. There's also this idea of we don't get to blame other people for things. It's not because the kids are so loud that you have pain. It's not the weather. It's the way your brain is operating, and most of the time, and I do want to say most of the time, it's because of things that you experienced in your life, and your brain shaped itself around those things. It kept you safe at some point in time. This can be in your childhood or your adult life, where you learned a pattern, and it was helpful for the time, and now it's a prison. And this is about changing. It's an inside job. It's about adjusting that and learning to be free and to be who God created you to be, which is not to live in fear. It's a whole other thing. Okay, another thing I want to throw into this category of when we are looking outside of ourselves for healing. A typical thing that I see in the TMS world is people wanting to be able to just listen to podcasts and read books without doing any of the work. Think about that. There are very few people that can just listen and read a book like Healing Back Pain, and all of a sudden they realize there's nothing wrong with their bodies, and their whole way of thinking and operating changes in a second. But most of us, those neural pathways are ingrained a little harder, and when you are learning something new, like being pain-free, it is like learning a language, and it takes time, and it takes work, and it takes intentionality and patience. And so I do think that if you want to heal, there's a little bit more hands-on work of intentionally changing how you think, and sometimes that includes work. So again, those are the things that we're no longer looking to. We're not looking outside of us for healing. And what that does mean for healing from the inside out, when the power is within, it does mean that we want to include people in our lives that do understand the mind-body connection. Maybe that is a friend or family member. I will say that is not very common that my clients have somebody already built into their life. And so be careful about that. We have patterns of getting people commiserating with us over our pain, or trying to convince people of how horrible our symptoms are. And that, first of all, is going to wire the pain more. It's going to make it worse. And then also, if we're looking for other people to kind of to help us, then it's not going to help. And so you might have to pick and choose who you talk to about this journey. If you have people in your life that are going to reinforce this idea that you need to keep going to the doctor, and that there's probably something wrong with you, or maybe they encourage you in that victim mentality of blaming other outside sources for the pain, then maybe just pick and choose how and what you talk to them about. I in no way am saying that you should not have those people in your life, but just picking and choosing what part of your life they are influencing. And then also you want to include maybe a therapist or a coach. When I was healing, I did not have a TMS coach, but I did have a therapist that helped me with a lot of things like standing up for myself. That is a big part of this, is for a lot of people, is sometimes it is literally terrifying to even disagree with somebody or to have an opinion that is different than other people. If for some reason, like mine, your brain has wired itself around people pleasing so strongly that your own independent thoughts become an option for other people to disapprove and no longer want you in your life, or that is your perceived fear. And so we want to include people who are going to empower us to change, people who are going to help us to see how it's about how we are operating, to empower us to get over the victim and the blaming, and instead to take ownership and to be able to make those deep, lasting, repetitive, practiced changes. And then let's see, what else did I want to talk about? So I think if I was to summarize this journey, it is really about taking your attention off the symptoms, putting your attention onto your emotions and patterns that you have established in your brain and your neural circuits, and then to begin to live, to actually make your life bigger, because chronic pain, chronic symptoms, generally they make our lives smaller and smaller because perceived danger keeps taking over and telling us you can't eat that, you can't go there, you can't sit on this, you can't be around these people. Before you know it, life is really, really tiny. And so we want to be expanding life. And that, again, is only going to be from you and from realizing that you can do it. And that your language needs to start echoing that. Again, you are saying no to the 13-year-old that's repeating everything and saying, nope, I'm going to use my will. And here's my final point. I'm going to find scripture that helps me to believe what he has already shown me. So sometimes we do this work and we realize there's a pattern that's not helpful, and it can be just incredibly reaffirming to have a scripture that God has shown you and is empowering you through. So I find that to be a really important part of this. I am amazed at how often when I work with my clients and in my own healing journey, that when I stopped and felt my emotions, I literally, again, this is part of the power within, feeling my emotions and allowing them to have a mind-body response. Maybe I feel sick for a little bit, or maybe I cry and have some tears, whatever emotion, whatever bodily sensation that emotion is calling for, and allowing it and being in the moment with it. When I take the time to do that, and then I ask God to help me to understand the emotion and how he wants to free me, his voice is often readily available. When I stopped spending all my energy to suppress the emotion and pretend like I'm not angry and pretend like I'm not disappointed, when I'm actually honest, his voice is pretty significant. And when I also stop second guessing his voice and just trust that still voice, it's a beautiful thing, and it's so assuring. So I'm just going to end this podcast on this idea that, again, that power is going to come from looking to the Lord and asking him. I don't know, maybe I just disagreed with my whole statement. Maybe the power doesn't come from within, and it is from him. But ultimately, I'm going to use what he gives me, what ends up in me, to operate in a new, redeemed way that is empowered. And so that's all I have to say for today. But you have the power to heal yourself. You do. And looking to him is an essential and beautiful and holistic way of healing that's not just about your symptoms, but about life in general. So if you are interested in checking out more of my story, check out my website, thoughtbythoughtealing.com. And if you want to see if we would be a good fit to work together, check out or send me an email at thoughtbythoughtealing@gmail.com. And you can also follow me on Instagram and on Facebook. So I hope you guys have a great week, and I will talk to you later. Bye.